Oh yeah, John Mansell, exboozehound. Hope you're doing okay. I've got a lot of things in my head that I think I want to say, but it's all a bit discombobulated in there at the moment, so I don't actually know what I'm going to say, which is normal, really. I think some of the stuff I am going to say could be embarrassing. Some of the stuff that I'm going to say could make me look a little bit pathetic, but that's okay. There's an awful lot of people out there that still see men with mental health issues as pathetic, and there's more than you would think. Even some people who know stuff about mental illness and mental well-being are still, I can't think of the word, judgmental or misguided about their thoughts and beliefs with regard to mental illness and mental well-being. So today I've come to the spot where I did my very first vlog back in June 2016. Things were very different in those days. I got no hair. I now have hair underneath this cap, which at the moment can only really actually be described as ridiculous. But I've come here and I'm mentioning it for a couple of reasons. One, it's obviously a symbolic place for me, and two, I've walked here. It's only a 15-minute walk, the long way round, which I've done, maybe 20 minutes the long way round, and I'll walk back after. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because in this lockdown period that we've had, if you've been struggling with your mental health issues, I have no doubt that at least one person will have told you to go for a walk. And yes, we find this fucking annoying, and the reason we find it annoying is because the people telling us to go for a walk don't actually understand where we're at. I hope I understand where some of you are at, and I have quite often told you to go for a walk. And the reason I'm talking about the walking to start off with is that I think the last 2 or 3 days I've been out for a 20-minute, 30-minute walk, and I've done, 20 minutes today, I'll be 20 minutes back. No big deal. But the fact is, this time last week, I would not have been able to do that. I just wouldn't. I wanted to, but I felt mentally and physically vulnerable being in the outside world without a safety net. So my car is a safety net. If I go anywhere, if I start to panic or get anxious, I can get straight back. When you're walking, it's a bit more difficult. Again, that may be one of the things that makes me look a bit pathetic. You know, a fully grown man who can't even get out of the house for a 20-minute walk. But you have to pick your battles. Now, some mornings I wake up and it's getting a little bit strong over this recent period, in that I sit on the end of my bed for a few minutes trying to work out whether I can actually face the outside world. There's safety in being in my bedroom, and once I've opened that door to the landing, then that day has begun, and I don't necessarily want that day to begin, and I don't necessarily want to be part of that day where I'm going to have to struggle. I'm going to have to fight to keep myself sane. And again, you know, that could well be looked at something that shows some weakness in me, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy to be called weak. It doesn't bother me at all, because I know deep down, even though I believe I'm weak often, I'm not weak. And if I was weak, I wouldn't be here now. So I started walking a little bit, only short walks. I've arranged now we can go. I'm going to meet a friend on Friday for a walk, which, if I'm honest, I'm a little bit terrified about at the moment, but that's ridiculous. But anyway, you know, that making those plans, that's very difficult. And I think this is the part of the point of this vlog is the restrictions are starting to be lifted bit by bit, which in theory is great. In practice, this is where it gets hard. You know, we've been having a hard time. Lockdown. Doesn't matter whether you've got mental health issues or not. You know, having that restriction on your life and whatever is tough going. And you know, the way over the years I've managed to, you know, deal with my own mental health issues is through a lot of resilience and a lot of, you know, doing, you know, stuff that means I've got people around me, or I can go for a drive here or a drive there. You know, it's not the most rock and roll life, but it keeps me going, it keeps me sane. And realistically, you know, with the mental health issues I have and whatever, it's horrible to say, but a huge part of my life has to be dedicated to, what's the words I'm looking for? Let's be honest, has to be dedicated to keep myself well, to keep myself alive. If Meghan Markle can talk about it, I can talk about it, you know. Suicide and suicidal thoughts, real, deep, emotionally painful, believing 100% that the only way out of the situation that you're in, and the fear that you have for the future, the fear that you're not going to be able to survive the future, leads you to believe in taking your own life is the best option. If that's not madness, I don't know what is. You know, there will be people watching this that had, you know, I've been, you know, I've had a barrage of suicidal thoughts over the last few months, which are painful and which are hurtful and which upset me. But it's part of the game. It's part of the world that we live in. Today is a different matter, you know. Today is look, I always know that I'm never going to do that thing, take my own life, but the thoughts and the feelings when they come into your head with no warning are real, and they're painful, and they hurt. But if you're having those sort of thoughts, talk to somebody about it. You know, it's really important. We have to change this tide of the statistics of suicide increasing. I think, you know, we're going to end up with an awful lot of problems with that over the next few months as the world starts to open again. Anyway, I've got a bit off track. So this time last week I wouldn't have been able to do this. I wouldn't have been able to go for a walk. There's a great advert on the television at the moment, and I think it's a BBC advert, and it ends with something along the lines of "the future isn't cancelled." And the first guy that appears is a guy in glasses, and he says, "I've got to be honest with you," and it cuts away to a few other people, and it comes back to him, and he talks about that he wakes up with anxiety. Now, anxiety has been part of my life for many years, but not a huge part of it over the last few years, because I've dealt with it in different ways. But I am at this moment in time waking up with anxiety, and I would imagine an awful lot of you are as well, never having had anxiety before. And the way I find anxiety shows in me is I pace about, I struggle to leave the bedroom. It feels like my blood's boiling. I get warm, I get tacky or sweaty, and you know, that's a hard thing to deal with in its own. But you sort of have to find your own way of breaking through that, and my way is asking myself just that one more question, you know, so what if I'm anxious, you know, so what if I have a panic attack, what's the worst that can happen? I might look like a bit of a dickhead, but who cares? It's the way it is. Life is life. And I have gone off, and I know as soon as I'm going to stop this vlog, because I want to stop it because it's gone past 10 minutes. I know as soon as I stop this vlog, there's going to be stuff that I wanted to say, but it doesn't matter. This might be helpful, it might not be. I mentioned stuff that might make me look pathetic, and I've mentioned a few of those. And I mentioned a bit, and I mentioned that I might say some stuff that could be embarrassing. And today, this morning, while I've been pottering around and stuff, I've actually I've made the effort to cut my toenails, shave my ears, because I'm of that sort of age where you get fluffy ears, trim my eyebrows, which again could be seen as a little bit embarrassing, and trim my beard. Now, when I say trimmed, I trimmed it on one instead of 3 or 2, so I pretty much got rid of it. Now, why is that embarrassing to say? It's embarrassing to say that I'm shaving my ears and, you know, and tidying my eyebrows and cutting my toes. I mean, who wants to talk about cutting your toenails? But the reason I'm talking about it is, this time last week, I would not have done that. And the reason I wouldn't have done that is because I couldn't be arsed. What's the point? Now, for me, mental illness is no different to a physical illness. If you've got a physical illness like a bad back, you can wake up one morning and for no reason whatsoever you're in pain, and that's the same as mental illness. And you know full well that if you're struggling with your mental illness or you're struggling with your bad back, it doesn't get better overnight, and it's never going to get better overnight, and that's part of the difficulty, because it's not a linear motion. You know, you don't just get slightly better each day. You 2 steps forwards, 3 steps back, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, and it gets you know, it's difficult like that. But even though there's no way these things get better overnight, everybody will have experienced at some point a muscle strain or something that they've had that has been bad for 2 or 3 days, and then all of a sudden one morning it's not there anymore. And the reason it's not there anymore is because you've rested it, you've put the right cream on it, you've done this, you've done that. There's a little niggle still there, tight, you know, like there, but the pain's gone away. I believe that is true with mental health issues as well. A lot of people will say utter bollocks, but that's fair enough. Some mornings I will wake up and I will just know that I've got that little bit more fight in me. I've got that little bit less anxiousness. And this is the time, and when those times come, when you wake up with that little bit, you're not going to wake up merry as a merry person. I can't think of a better phrase than that. But you notice that little bit of less anxiety. You notice that little bit of hope. When those things happen, it's time to seize on them. And this is where I use, it's a hashtag I use quite often, pick your battles. It goes through the whole thing. People tell you to go for a walk, and you understand why they're saying it. You understand that it works and it makes a difference. But sometimes you just cannot do it. Doesn't matter what anybody says. There's no shame in that. You have to know when to fight back, when to pick your battles, and when to do something different or try something different. I think even though we're coming out of the lockdown things now, and it's in theory going to get a lot easier, in actual fact I think it's for a lot of people it's going to get a lot harder. But know this and remember this, through all these times and all these months where you've been at your lowest, and I've been very, very close to my lowest at times, when you thought there's no way that you can get to the other side of this, there's no way that you can see a future with any happiness or positivity, you have survived it. You are getting there, very near to coming out the other side. And there are going to be more challenges now for you, to start to get back to normal, but you have survived it. Every day that you've doubted yourself, every minute that you've thought about suicide, every time that you've thought about what's the point of life, you've got through it. And you will get through the next stage as well. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, however you have to do it. I may have suicidal thoughts, but I'll never do it, because I'll never let this illness beat me. And I know I have the strength in me to be able to say that, and I know you've got the strength in you as well, whether you believe it or not. I know, again, it's gone way past what I said I was going to do, 16 minutes, so I am going to shut up now. Look, enjoy the good and ride out the bad. Share this vlog if you can. My vlogs have now been watched 10,129 times. My previous blogs have been read over 13,000 times. And the reason I'm saying that is to make me feel proud of who I've been. Not who I am now, I'm not proud of that. But I know with the strength that's inside me and the strength that's inside you, we can be proud of ourselves again in the future. Enjoy the good and ride out the bad, and I'll catch you guys soon. Well, here you go. Bye-bye.